Hello, Chiquis!
And welcome to Chatty Amigas,
a podcast where two friends approach everyday problems and find practical solutions. I'm Mafe.
And I'm Ella.
And today we are spilling the tea on home buying and renting. Times have changed, as you guys know, when it comes to obtaining a new home. You know, with all the legal mumbo jumbo and the insane competition around acquiring a place you can call home, it has become extremely overwhelming. So our practical solution was to invite and interview a licensed real estate professional to our podcast.
We would love to introduce Mogdy Rizk.
Hey guys, thank you so much. It's a pleasure and honor. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
As we just mentioned, Mogdy Rizk is a licensed real estate professional, and he works with his team, Rizk Real Estate, from Prestige Property Group, Montclair. Welcome!
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. Waited all day for this.
Oh, good. That's so nice. Thanks. We've been waiting all day to have you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Not only is Magdy very professional, he is down to earth as well. We are extremely honored to have you here. Thank you so much for interviewing with us.
Please tell us a little bit about yourself and the Rizk Real Estate.
All right. So my name is Magdy Rizk. I began my real estate journey in 2014. I was doing it part-time because, the real estate industry, it really is a cutthroat business. And it requires, for you to be a full-time agent, working around client schedules and whatnot. So I was still, working a full-time job and doing real estate full-time. And just about 2 years ago, when COVID came about, I was working in New York City with a managing in construction background, and I think if there was any better time, it would be now. And I started doing real estate full time, and I couldn't be happier.
That's
All
great.
right.
That's really nice.
That's
thank
good.
you so much for sharing.
Yeah,
No,
thank
absolutely.
you.
All right, so for this month's interview, we reached out to our Cheekies on social media and asked them what questions they would like for Magdy to answer. All the questions that we are asking today were all sent in from our listeners, so thank you so much for that, everybody. So we're going to start with the first one. We have 5 with questions we thought were so interesting that we're going to ask. So the first one, it was sent in from Buyer on a Budget, and the question is, I want to buy a house and think I can afford it. What expenses should I keep in mind?
That's a very good question, and it's actually a very important question. The number one thing that you would have to keep in mind is closing costs, down payment, and also inspections that will have to take place throughout the process. So I think with those things in mind and getting, a pre-approval from a excellent lender in the industry, with the help of myself and also the lender, we would be able to help guide you and, tell you, the do's and don'ts. One of the most important things too, that we come across with buyers and we stress a lot is once you're pre-approved and we find a home and we're moving along in the process, is do not make major purchases. Do not use your credit cards. And I think a lot of people, and I think it wouldn't come to mind, but at the same time, it can really change the outcome of transactions if you end up doing that, major purchases. And in that regard, I mean, buying a new car, changing your monthly expenses, and, charging a lot of money on a credit card can really affect your purchasing power. And so that's definitely something to keep in mind.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
So Magdy helped me get my house. And when I found out about that, kind of freaked out. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't use my credit card for half a year now. That's not how it works. It's a few days, weeks, depends how long the process takes. And like, you can buy milk with it. They'd rather you not. But like, don't go out and buy a 5-person cruise vacation to the Caribbean because it was a wonderful sale, or a car.
Yes, no, you're absolutely correct. I mean, small minor purchases, grocery store, you're getting a few items, stuff like that. That's okay. But, like Mel just said and touched up on, major purchases can really, really affect the outcome in a negative way. But as soon as you sign the documents and, you close on your brand new home and dream home, then, you could go back to living the normal life. Still doesn't mean that you go out and you spend thousands of dollars, but but that's always you always have to keep that in mind.
Yes, you need those thousands of dollars for the renovations that you do afterwards. Plus the uh-oh, what a surprise is this that I didn't know existed behind this wall.
Right.
There's always those rainy days that you have to watch out for. So
Yeah. With that said, it's very much I think worth purchasing a home if that's something you can do. It's very nice to have that peace of mind that it's something you have, it's yours, and no one can evict you out of there unless it's the government because you haven't paid mortgage.
Right.
Yes, that's a very good point as well, Mel. I mean,
Very nice. Very nice. So moving us along to the second question. This one was sent by Joanne, and her questions two little parts. One, when it's a good time to buy, and the next one, low interest rates or low house cost.
now this one is a great, great question. Very interesting question. I thank you, Joanne. See, now there's many realtors that have different opinions, perspectives, and my approach on this is it's always a good time to buy. And what I mean by that is, interest rates are low or home prices are low, but you always have to look for the opportunity. And these opportunities, I call them the golden nuggets, they can happen at any time.
Right.
So different circumstances, different situations, either you're purchasing a home for yourself or even as an investor. So I definitely, think that purchasing a home can happen at any time. I wouldn't say that there is a particular time. But if we're talking about seasonal, in a regular real estate market, usually the winter time, the home buying process slows down, holidays, weather, you know, I would say that for the most part. But going back to Joanne's first part of the question, anytime is a good time. And transitioning into the second part of the question, with in regards to the low interest rates, right, and the low home costs, I believe. See, now with that being said, a lot of the times, if you have a low interest period, like we've been having recently, but they have slowly started to go up, it kind of offsets. It also depends a lot on how much inventory was on the market.
Okay.
So that plays a big part and makes a big difference, because the lower the inventory, the higher the demand. So that can drive up the home sale price. But then again, I think there are always opportunities in different circumstances and situations. So if the interest rates happen to go up and we are in a different market and there is a lot of inventory, then it kind of offsets. So the housing prices will drop, but the interest rates are going higher. And I actually think that the times that we're going through now with COVID and the real estate market right now, which is out of this world, being a seller, I think that we have very low inventory, and I think that a lot of people are, moving into bigger homes and transitioning and working remote for good.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always a lot of factors, that come into play.
Okay, so there's not a specific time of the year when the interest rates are lower or the cost of the homes are lower. It depends also on the market, right?
Correct. Yes.
Gotcha.
So every day the interest rates could be changing, and you're absolutely correct. It is dictated by the market. So if the interest rates, could be high today, and they can also drop tomorrow. Um, so yeah, so that definitely has a big effect on it.
Okay. Okay. Good to know.
Yeah, that's a very detailed answer. Thank you.
Yeah,
It was very
You're
nice.
that was
welcome.
perfect. Yes.
The more information is always the best.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Then you
Yes.
can definitely make a better decision. And I think that people become less afraid if they know what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yes,
yeah.
and I think that that's one of the biggest problems is the um, lack of better terms, the lack of education,
Hmm.
which could, I mean, and this is all across the board. It could be from, you know, a certain real estate agent not explaining um, in detail the right information, the lender, the attorney. So that's a whole nother topic, but it's always great to have a great, support and network along the
Yeah,
process as well.
I
Agreed.
agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it makes it easier for the buyer. And I
That's
guess
right.
the buyee.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, it makes it just so much easier for everybody that's involved,
Mhm.
which, that's the most important thing. And that's why sometimes we see deals fall apart,
Mm.
which is unfortunate, but, um, we hope that never happens.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you. That was good. So, our
You're
third
welcome.
question was sent in from Jay Vazio. And his question is, are we in a bubble of sorts?
So that is a very good question as well. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So touching up on what I previously said, with COVID, that definitely had a strong impact on the real estate market. So being here in New Jersey, um, a lot of people were moving out of New York City and the neighboring areas and coming into and flooding New Jersey.
Hmm.
So with that happening, definitely there wasn't as much inventory and a lot of buyers, and with the incredibly low interest rates, um, it was a opportune, great time for people to start purchasing homes. Um, Now, the bubble that we are kind of in is due to lack of inventory, um, and that does put a strain on a lot of buyers and their hopes of home ownership, because tons of multiple offers on almost every property that your client is interested in, but also hiring the right agent, with the right
Mm-hmm.
techniques and all that can definitely make the biggest difference. Um, but I think it'll eventually, you know, straighten itself out inventory wise.
Yeah. Do you feel it's the same thing for people choosing to rent only, for people looking for a house or apartment to rent as well?
From the rental perspective, I definitely do see that as well, a little bit. Um, it's definitely, people making changes in their lives. And, I think, COVID had a huge impact on
Hmm.
a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Great situations and also really bad situations at the same time. And I do think that there are a lot of renters out there, even for, investors that have properties that they rent. It's great for them, but it is a little bit tough for renters. But I wouldn't say it's as tough or close as, purchasing a home.
Okay.
Hmm.
That's fair.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. Mm-hmm. Makes sense. So, Thank you for that answer too. Now, moving us along to our next question. This one was sent by Anonymous, and the person asked, when is the housing market going to crash? What do you think?
So, love this great question.
I was like, I hope not.
So it's very interesting because whether you follow the market or the news around the globe, and the way the real estate market is now, there's no telling. You've heard from other professionals that it can happen very soon. It can happen, tomorrow, and it could happen in a year or 2 years. So I don't really think that there is a definite answer. But do I think it's going to happen tomorrow? Do I think that it's going to happen towards the end of the year? I don't. But there's no telling, moving forward. But when it'll actually happen, and if it actually happens.
Yeah, that's a fair answer. You're not a mind reader, right?
Magdy, you're not psychic. You can't tell.
No, I wish I was. I mean, there would be a lot of different moving parts.
Right. Yeah, there's no way to know. And like you said earlier, when you answer the question about when it's a good time to buy, it depends on the market, right? And the market is constantly changing by the minute. So I guess that also could affect, the housing market. If it's going to crash, it just depends on the actual marketing itself.
Yes, absolutely. That's definitely correct. If you hypothetically saw interest rates going up to 6%, or higher, I highly doubt people will be purchasing homes. That would be, so there's so many different angles that we can approach this. But no one really knows, and like you said, it really hinges on the market and the state that we are all in. That will dictate when it happens and if it happens.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, no, very much a fair answer. So good question, good answer. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
So the last one I found to be super interesting, actually. It is by Anonymous. How is the financing situation for immigrants without a social security number?
Now, this one is the most interesting question. Thank you, Anonymous. Well, I would start off by saying this is not legal advice. Definitely an attorney or a lender would be able to give the absolute, correct answer. But from a real estate professional's perspective, in situations that I've seen come up, as long as an individual has a ITIN number, which is the individual taxpayer identification number, as long as they're paying taxes, essentially, that is really the difference maker. But they also, they must possess a green card or a permanent work visa.
Okay.
Yes, and the most important thing, like I said again, is the ITIN number. As long as they are, paying their fair share of taxes, and maintaining a full-time position, and that's really what it comes down to. But also, it's a little bit difficult from the perspective or the end of finding a lender. Not every lender, I believe, would give out loans in this situation. But I think it's awesome. I think it's beautiful. I think it's amazing. It gives everybody an opportunity. I definitely agree with it, and I think everybody should have an opportunity. They're living here, paying their taxes. I think that it's giving more people the dream of home ownership.
That was beautiful. Very well said.
Very well said. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Let me ask you. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mafe.
No, I actually have another question, but you can go ahead
Do
first.
it. Okay. So my question is, if like, okay, let's say in a hypothetical situation, they immigrated here, they have everything in check, they're paying their taxes, they have a job, they have a residency or green card, or they're legally here, and they have the ITN number. So they would have to pay more interest, right? Is that how it is for if they were to get a mortgage?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not really sure how that would work. That's more of a question for a lender,
Yeah.
because it varies from lender to lender,
Yeah.
from broker to broker. Some have higher fees, some have lower fees. Some have very competitive fees. So it's really hard to kind of give a straightforward answer to that. But like I said, also with the right team, agent, lender, attorney, anything is possible. And getting the right information too. And that's what I come across a lot in this industry, is a lot of my business being referrals. A lot of people are really just misinformed. They're getting the wrong information, and it's it's really heartbreaking, and it's hard because if these individuals or whomever it is, if they're not referred to myself or another professional, it can really turn things around for them, in a negative way. It really could impact them because they could just go without knowing. So it's it's definitely important to, if I don't have the answer, I will find the answer.
Yeah, no, we
That's the
appreciate the
best way to put
honesty.
it. That's the
Right.
best
Yeah.
way to put it.
No, and I think it's so important that you mentioned that it varies from lender to lender and from broker to broker, because sometimes I feel that we don't think about like many options out there, and sometimes if we start talking to one of them in the process of buying a home, then we feel like we have to remain with them through the whole process, but that's not the case. If they're not giving people the right answers, or they're being not the nicest or whatever, right, that it is okay to stop that and then just go talk to another lender or another broker just to get more answers.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think that everybody, in this kind of position, they're giving themselves a disservice. I definitely think that, more than one lender should be asked, or, if you have the right agent, it's somebody that you believe in, somebody that you trust, and you've seen their work and stuff. I think that that's important, that you and go by their network, I guess, so to speak. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Because yes, I mean, realtors, dime a dozen, lenders, dime a dozen, attorneys, dime a dozen. It's all across the board. There are so many. But then there's also the ones that actually, are in it for more than just the money, which, being the difference makers, and it's kind of not off topic, but based on what we're discussing, I mean, my biggest motto that I always live by and I always keep repeating to myself is, I don't sell houses, I sell homes. And there's a big difference between a
Yes.
house and a home, so, and that also goes with turning houses into homes. And I think that that's very important.
Yes.
That was awesome.
And
Yeah,
that's
very
why
well
I
said.
had you help me because I
I appreciate
appreciated.
it.
Mm-hmm.
It's my
Yeah,
pleasure.
I can
You know.
definitely see why you stay with him.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I
You're
was like, you're a
awesome, Magdy.
human. You're a human. Thank
Yeah.
you.
And that's the best thing to do. You know what I mean? I mean, this is, like I said, it's a cutthroat business. Everybody's out to, better their careers or make more money, and and I understand. But at the end of the day, I mean, this is one of the if not the biggest purchase, it's one of the biggest purchases that any person will be making in their lifetime. And I think it's crucial, for individuals or families. It's a big impact, from so many different ways. So, it's great to be a part of that, and I always say as well with, I don't sell houses, I, sell homes. It's also my clients are not just clients, they're family, because
Yeah.
I really get to understand them. I get to know them. I get, close to them where they do become family because it's a long process. There's
Yeah.
also a lot of emotions behind this, you know.
Yes.
It's not like those shows, Million Dollar Listing or HGTV. No, there's a lot that happens behind the scenes. So yeah, I mean, it's very important
Yes, and
that
it was really nice having the support also, like, because you acted like a human and you were there. I can say he did treat me like family. So you're like
Well,
family.
thank
It was
you,
really
and you
nice.
too,
Thank
and
you.
and the same for you guys too. And and I think one of the biggest things is having faith and trust,
Yeah, you
Mm-hmm.
have to.
in your real estate agent. It, I think that's the biggest component of this whole formula is if you do have trust and faith in your realtor, then I think that's the most important thing. And I think that everything will go smoothly and successful too. Um,
I
so
agree.
it goes hand in hand too. So
Yeah, that was very well said. And I just have a one quick question
Do
to
it.
add.
Spill the tea,
I'm
Mafe. What
gonna
is it?
spill the tea on the
go
first
for
question.
it.
Maybe we should just add Magdy to our podcast from now on.
Oh
He's like,
Right?
man.
this is just so much fun. This has been so great. But so you were talking earlier about about the budget, right? What expenses to keep in mind, and you said down payment, closing costs, and you also mentioned an inspection. So my question is, should people skip inspections to save money?
Never, never, never. Skipping your home inspection will be your own nightmare. I will say that. Because a lot of the times, you do your home inspection and you don't realize how bad the roof is. Or if you go in the attic, the roof is leaking. You have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
Or electrical. You can have wires that are done incorrectly and they're backwards, which can lead to a house fire. And you definitely, don't want that.
Mm-hmm.
If there's any leaks in the foundation or, stress cracks or, I absolutely would never advise anybody to, to skip a home inspection. I mean, to save $500, $600, $700 can end up costing you $100, $300, $400,000.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's a good way to think about it. Yeah, no, I definitely would never. I would
Good.
never. As an agent too, I would want no part. I would tell my client, "Hey, I want no responsibility. Please think about this."
Right.
Because this is it's big, the home buying and even selling process. It's not easy. There's a lot that really is entailed and behind the scenes.
Yeah. And I feel like mental peace is priceless. So if you're going to think about not getting an inspection to save $800, but then, some people just think a lot. So at night, are you willing to give up your mental peace because you did that? And if you're willing to put in hundreds and thousands of dollars, because at this point, I think it's safe to say most houses are hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to just like skip off $800, it's really nothing compared to all that money you're going to put into a house to then find something wrong, no matter how old or new the house is in the construction. I think
Mm-hmm.
that not skipping an inspection is the best thing. It's just to me, it's worth the $800 in my
Yeah,
opinion.
I mean, recently too. I'll give you a great example. Just to touch up on that, Mel. Definitely, I appreciate that answer, and you're 100% correct. I recently had clients of mine. We found a beautiful home, and they accepted our offer, and we moved along in the process. We're under contract, and we did the home inspection. They used my preferred home inspector, so we were there. Everything looked great until we got to the attic. Um, the attic was completely full of mold,
Oh
Oh,
gosh.
which would have been thousands and thousands of dollars. Um, and actually, my clients asked me, Magdy, what do you think? And I said, we should walk away from this deal.
Wow.
And we did. Um, so that's another big thing, choosing the right agent, it's comes down to honesty. I
Mm-hmm.
could have just told them, yeah, whatever, it's okay, no problem. Yeah, we could deal with it. We'll get a credit. No, I mean, there's a lot more factors, and my background of, being in construction and stuff like that too. Now, you might have mold in the ducts. It might be in your HVAC system. So it's
mm-hmm.
just going to keep circulating
Hmm.
inside the home. So, you went from, $700 home inspection, saving you possibly $20,000 to $30,000.
Not including doctor
Wow.
bills, because that stuff is
And yeah, and you
Exactly.
can't put a price on your health. And
no.
yeah, we walked away from that. We walked away from the deal.
Wow.
See,
So
being
yeah.
a human. Thank you for that, Magdy. Like that.
You're welcome. I mean,
Yeah.
no need to thank me. I mean, that's the only right way to be. You know.
Agreed.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so
You're
much for
welcome.
coming to our
Oh my
podcast.
God,
And
my pleasure.
yeah, thank you for answering all these questions with your intelligent and very well informed answers. We have high regard for you and your time, and we really appreciate you talking with us today.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure. It's over already. Oh, we're just getting started. How do we get done? Nah.
I
No, really.
Um,
I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much. And it means a lot. I'm honored, that I did have, you know, some time to speak with you guys. And I think it is a lot of these things were absolutely great questions, and very important.
yeah.
And
Yeah, and maybe we can have a part two in the future if people want to know a little bit more into detail. Then maybe we can just bug you for a little bit more time in the future.
no, I'm not waiting for people to want to know. We're doing a part two. I mean, we're not.
Okay. Okay.
Good. Good, good. Then we
And
need to do that.
they get comedy with it too. You purchase a
Yes.
home, and you're also getting some comedic entertainment along with it. So, and that's
Yes.
free. So I
Even better.
mean, exactly. So you can't go wrong. No,
No.
but I appreciate you guys so much. I appreciate you, and I hope so. I hope that this information helps. And if definitely part two, I would love to answer more questions, even in more detail too. Other big
Okay.
parts of this process too. Even as a seller,
Okay.
that's a whole nother
Sounds
topic too.
great.
That is a good, actually, that is good. We can do a part two about selling.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay, we will be in touch.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, guys. It was a pleasure and an honor once again. I can keep saying it over and over. Thank you.
Thank you. We feel the same. Is this going to be like
Okay.
20 minutes of thank you? Thank you for being you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
So, for anyone interested in looking up Magdy Rizk and his team Rizk Real Estate from Prestige Property Group Montclair, we will leave all the details down below in the description.
That is it for our podcast today. Thank you so much for listening. We sincerely hope you liked it. We would love to know what you thought about our episode, so feel free to please leave us a comment. Feel free to let us know